Picture this. You're standing at a bus stop. A big city bus rumbles up, and you get hit with that distinctive, let's call it, aromatic cloud of diesel exhaust. And you thought, why does this thing smell like that? Why does it run on diesel? Why not just use regular gasoline like my car? No, just me? Well, whether you've wondered it consciously or not, today we are cracking open one of the most underrated questions in the world of public transportation. Why do buses run on diesel fuel instead of gasoline? Is it just tradition? Is it cheaper? Is someone out there making a very specific fuel-related decision that affects millions of commuters every single day? The answer is yes, and it is so much more interesting than you might think. We're going all the way back to the very beginning of motorized buses. We're talking chemistry and engineering without making your brain hurt, and we're going to come out the other side genuinely understanding one of the most practical decisions in the history of transportation. Let's get into it. Section 1. In the beginning, how early buses were powered. To understand why buses use diesel today, we need to hop in our time machine one more time and go back to the late 1800s and early 1900s, the wild, wonderful, slightly chaotic dawn of motorized transportation. When the very first motorized buses started appearing on city streets in the 1890s, the world was still figuring out this whole internal combustion engine thing. Early buses experimented with everything, and we mean everything. Steam power was popular for a while. Big, lumbering, steam-driven vehicles that were essentially locomotives without the tracks. They were loud, they were slow, and they needed constant water and fuel stops, which made running a reliable bus route feel like an extreme sport. Then came gasoline engines. By the early 1900s, gasoline-powered buses started taking over city streets, and for a while, gas was the fuel of choice. It worked. It got the job done. Early gasoline bus engines were relatively simple, moderately powerful, and the fuel was becoming increasingly available as the automobile industry exploded. But here's where the story gets interesting. As buses got bigger, carrying more passengers, running longer routes, operating in all kinds of weather and terrain, the limitations of gasoline engines started to show. They struggled under heavy loads. They were less fuel efficient the harder they worked. They required more maintenance. And for operators running dozens or hundreds of buses every single day, those inefficiencies added up to real money, real fast. Enter a German engineer named Rudolf Diesel. Rudolf Diesel had been working since the 1890s on a new type of engine, one that was fundamentally different from the gasoline engines of the day. His engine didn't use a spark plug to ignite the fuel. Instead, it compressed air so intensely that the temperature inside the cylinder skyrocketed. And when diesel fuel was injected, it ignited spontaneously from the heat alone. No spark needed. Just pure, beautiful, physics-driven combustion. Diesel patented his engine in 1892, and by the 1910s and 1920s, bus manufacturers started experimenting seriously with diesel power. The results were so dramatically better for heavy-duty vehicles that by the 1930s and 1940s, diesel had become the dominant fuel for buses, trucks, and heavy vehicles across the developed world. And it has stayed that way ever since, for very, very good reasons. Section 2. The benefits. Why diesel won and keeps winning. Okay, so diesel beat gasoline for buses, but why? What is it about diesel fuel and diesel engines that makes them so perfectly suited for buses specifically? Let's break it down, nice and easy. Benefit number 1. Diesel engines produce massively more torque. Here's your fun science word of the day, torque. Torque is rotational force. It's what gets a heavy object moving from a standstill. And diesel engines produce enormous amounts of it, especially at low speeds. Think about what a city bus has to do all day long. It stops, it starts, it stops, it starts. It carries anywhere from 50 to 150 passengers plus the weight of the vehicle itself, which can top 40,000 pounds fully loaded. Getting that kind of weight moving smoothly and repeatedly, dozens of times per route, requires serious pulling power. Diesel engines are absolute champions at this. A gasoline engine working that hard would be screaming in protest. A diesel engine just shrugs and gets on with it, effortlessly, all day, every day. Benefit number 2, diesel is dramatically more fuel efficient. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. Diesel fuel actually contains more energy per gallon than gasoline. About 10 to 15% more, in fact. And diesel engines are also more thermally efficient, meaning they convert a higher percentage of that fuel energy into actual movement rather than wasted heat. For a transit agency running hundreds of buses across thousands of miles every single day, that difference in fuel efficiency is not a minor footnote. It is a massive operational cost saving. We are talking millions of dollars per year for large transit systems. Diesel's superior fuel economy has been one of the single biggest reasons transit operators have stuck with it for nearly a century. The math just works, and it works really well. Benefit number 3, diesel engines last practically forever. This one is genuinely remarkable. Diesel engines are built to be tough. Because they operate under much higher compression than gasoline engines, they are engineered with heavier, more robust components from the ground up. The result? A diesel engine in a well-maintained bus can last 500,000 miles or more before needing a major overhaul. Some transit agencies report diesel engines running reliably well past 1 million miles with proper care. A typical gasoline engine in a passenger car is considered to have a good long life at 200,000 miles. A diesel bus engine looks at 200,000 miles and calls it a warm-up. For transit agencies that need their vehicles to run reliably for 12 to 20 years, that durability is not just nice to have. It is absolutely essential to their operating model. Benefit number 4. Diesel handles heavy loads without breaking a sweat. We touched on this with torque, but it goes deeper. Diesel engines don't just start heavy vehicles well, they sustain power under load far more effectively than gasoline engines. Whether a bus is climbing a steep urban hill fully loaded with rush-hour passengers, running in extreme summer heat, or grinding through a long highway route, a diesel engine maintains consistent, reliable performance. It doesn't fade. It doesn't overheat as easily. It just keeps going with the kind of quiet determination we all wish we had on a Monday morning. Benefit number 5. Diesel fuel is safer to store and handle. Here's one most people never think about. Diesel fuel has a significantly higher flash point than gasoline, meaning it requires much more heat to ignite accidentally. Gasoline is highly volatile and can produce flammable vapors even at cool temperatures. Benefit number 6. The refueling infrastructure already exists. Sometimes the most powerful reason something stays the dominant choice isn't purely technical, it's practical. Diesel fueling infrastructure for heavy vehicles is already everywhere. Now, in the spirit of being completely honest with you wonderful people, the era of pure diesel dominance is starting to evolve. Cities around the world are increasingly investing in electric buses, hydrogen fuel cell buses, and hybrid diesel-electric systems in response to air quality concerns and climate commitments. London, Los Angeles, Shenzhen, and many other cities are actively transitioning large portions of their fleets to zero-emission vehicles. And that is genuinely exciting. The future of bus transit is cleaner, quieter, and increasingly electric. But here's the thing. Diesel didn't get replaced because it failed. It's being phased out because technology has finally advanced to the point where alternatives can match its extraordinary reliability and efficiency. That's not a defeat for diesel. That's actually the highest possible compliment. So diesel fuel won the bus wars not by accident and not by luck. but because for heavy, high-demand, stop-and-start urban transit, it is genuinely one of the most practical, efficient, durable, and cost-effective fuel choices ever developed. From Rudolf Diesel's brilliant compression ignition invention in the 1890s to the thundering city buses of today, diesel has earned every mile it's traveled.